Hey guys, what is up? Jack of all trades here. Welcome to the reveal of my custom sump filter. So yeah, I know we left off at the overflow boxes, so we'll just start with those right here. So you can see my inner one, actually we'll go over here first, is I've drilled a lot more holes in it because this pump flows so much water. You can see I have a couple more holes drilled, and I also increase the diameter of all the existing holes to 1/4 inch. So I'll just go around here, show you how many holes I have, and obviously the water level will be at the highest hole. And you can see over there, for instance, I got lucky because the water level is exactly where I want it. Like it's just above the trim, which is perfect. And you can see on that other side, I drilled a bunch more holes, so that's all working out for me. Then I also purchased a U-tube. It was just like a cheap U-tube for like an overflow, like an S-Shop's overflow. It cost me $10. Then I trimmed it to size, and then I did actually trim them short. So I added some 3/4 inch inner diameter tubing to the 1 inch inner diameter U-tube, and that allowed me to extend it so that the siphon would keep. And then I also have an old filter intake tube. This is for a Marineland hang-on back filter. It's like the Emperor 400 or something. But I just trimmed that down to size as well, so you can see where the siphon is staying. And I have a 1 inch drain, and it's a little gurgly, but since this is in the living room, we don't really mind. And you can see it's easily draining that water, and it flows down the pipe into the drawer tower. And in my first bin, this is the loudest. I'll add some more like filtration so that the water will quiet down. But if we take a peek in here, you can see that I've already caught a bunch of like leaves and stuff, and all the water just kind of pools up and then drains through the bin. So that's the first bin. And the second bin right here is all of my biological media. And I'll just say this again in case you haven't watched any previous episodes, but these are just cleaning pads, and they're all crammed into this bin. And this is from the online store doitbest.com. I got this much cleaning pads for $20 after tax. They were like $18 before tax, $1.50 tax, and then that's like $20 right there. But this bin is crammed full of them. You can see it's a great deal if you want cheap biofiltration, and I just got a lot of them. And this is a wet-dry filter, obviously, so if you might be able to see the water trickling down from the bin, the previous bin. Actually, you can't at all, but you can see how there's lots of exchange with the air, and that increases biological productivity. And just so that the tank wouldn't lose its cycle, I added some of my biomedia from the old filter into the bottom. I mean, they probably should be on top of all the cleaning pads or pot scrubbies, but I added these first because I didn't have the pot scrubbies right away when I started up the filter. So those are just on the bottom, but that'll be providing some bacteria. So yeah, once those flow through, I just have the heater at the side over there. You can see from the light that it's on. I also didn't have the heater in the bin when I started up the filter for the first time, so I just slid it to the side, and it all works out because it'll still heat up the water. It doesn't have to be like across the bin or anything. I mean, you know, as long as it heats up the water evenly, you're good. And then we have the return pump right here. It's a Sump 550 gallon per hour, and I just have some vinyl tubing. I should probably get a barb for the bottom one because that's leaking slightly. But this one obviously doesn't leak, and that just goes up through the pipe. And then here's my return. Now make sure you should drill the holes in your return to break the siphon. I'll just move my hood for a second, so I'll show you where I drilled the actual hole. So I drilled the first one too low. It's already above the surface, but normally if your water level is high enough, it'll be like at the surface of the water or a little below, so that when you so that when the power goes out or you turn off the filter, a back siphon won't be started, and none of the water will just drain back into your sump, and you won't overflow your sump, and that's good. And so yeah, that's pretty much the sump right there. Oh shoot, I just knocked down a snail. Hold on guys, I'll be right back. I just knocked down a snail. Hold on. Alright guys, everything is a-okay. As you can see, I just flipped the snail up. He was upside down. On that side note, yeah, snarite snails are notorious for escaping fish tanks. So just make sure that they aren't up on the trim or whatever. Like, they've gotten as high as this border right here. You can actually see probably if you look at the back of the tank, they have some poo on the walls all the way up there. So just please check to make sure your snails aren't on the edges or anything, like on the outside. I was vigorously checking this tank when I first got these snails, but I don't worry as much now since the lids. But yeah, he'll get out in a bit. I'll probably give you guys an update once he starts moving. You know, yeah. So let's see, what else is there to talk about? I mean, oh yeah, let me demonstrate a power outage. So speaking of power outage, I'll show you my interesting ideas on this overflow box. Like, I had some initial ideas on like the siphon, but I'll get into that once we start it. So actually, let's start it right now. We'll simulate a power outage. I'll just flick the switch over here. And yeah, that gurgling is the breaking of the siphon. So then all that water will stop flowing into the sump from the return. But as you can see, my overflow box is still going a little bit. So you can see a little bit of water is still draining. But here, now we'll go to this angle, and you can see that the siphon hasn't been broken. The water is only draining from the overflow box. Now my initial idea about this was like the water would drain until the siphon broke, right? But what actually happens is, like, the water level just stops. Like, the siphon won't break, which I find is really awesome. But then I also realized, like, imagine your hang-on back filter, or like you have a big filter on the back of your tank. When you turn that off, the siphon still stays in the actual tube from the pump. So this is just like that, except it was an artificial siphon created by you. And if you guys want to know how to do that, I might upload a separate video on it. But basically, you just take some airline tubing, stick it into the tube, like right at the top, or like somewhere in the tube. You can suck out all the air if you want, but it's fine if there's like a small air bubble. And then you want to like start your pump. It'll pump up the water. Then you want to suck all the air out of the tube, and then that will start the siphon. And then all the water will be lifted over the wall and into the external box. So if you guys want a video on that, I'll make a separate video on that. That's perfectly fine. This is just more of a reveal and like overview of how this thing works. So yeah, speaking of which, I actually have the high and normal water levels labeled right here. So I think I actually had some evaporation because yesterday the water line was exactly at that Sharpie mark. But yeah, basically make sure your sump can hold all the water that will drain from your tank when there's a power outage. So yeah, so I'll show you guys the siphon starting back up. I think this is so cool, even though it's such a simple concept. Like, as soon as water starts flowing in, it just kind of starts back up. And we'll go to this angle over here. So it might take some time to fill up to the level of the overflow box, but once water starts flowing in, it'll just start flowing over there, which I find is so cool, because then that means there's no risk of anything bad going on. Like your overflow box, your tank will not overflow if the power goes out, which I think is just dope. So it'll get up to full volume in a bit. The water level is just rising to the hose in the overflow. So yeah, I think we are at about normal height now. Seems it's okay. And let's see, now you can see that the water level has returned to about normal. So yeah, it's good to have these markings on your sumps so that you kind of know if something's off. And I'd also recommend doing a low water level, which is basically where your pump will start sucking in air, but you know, that's not really necessary for me, since look at how much clearance I have from this water level to the actual pump. So that should be okay. I mean, you should be doing water changes weekly. Speaking of water changes, this is the ball valve. All I have to do is just put this tube out the door right here. It'll just drain onto the deck. Just turn this ball valve, and then some of the water will go through the tube. And I can just do easy water changes. It's awesome. And some of the water will also return up to the actual aquarium, and then it won't completely stop water draining into the actual filter. So yeah, I think that was a pretty in-depth overview. If you guys think I missed anything, please leave it in the comments. And yeah, I think that's it for this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye. Oh my, I almost forgot. The snail, he's moving. See, he's okay. You guys don't have to worry. I put him closer to the plant. Now he's on his merry way. So yes, this is the official end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.